Welcome to Policy on Demand's Week in Review. I'm Pat Brown. So I want to say this carefully, but it's been kind of a quiet week in Washington this week, at least thus far. Congress is out of session, the first week of its two-week Easter recess. We haven't had any major developments in the trade front. And so, at least on the surface, it's been a quiet week in Washington. But quiet doesn't mean inactive. So we know that last week, the House passed the Senate version of the budget resolution, and that essentially unlocks the key for both chambers, starting with the House, to move forward with the reconciliation legislation. So as of today, our expectation is that in early May, we are going to see the House committees of jurisdiction move forward with marking up their portions of the reconciliation bill. Now, of course, in our little world of tax, we'll be watching the House Ways and Means Committee most closely. There has been some speculation that maybe the Ways and Means Committee will go a little bit later in that process. Maybe it won't actually be the first full week in May, but clearly the expectations from Speaker Johnson are for the House to move as rapidly as possible to move the entire piece of legislation through the House and get it over to the Senate. Speaker Johnson, of course, has set a deadline of Memorial Day to get a final bill to President Trump's desk. Now, that timeline seems extremely ambitious, but again, the House wants to move rapidly. As soon as they come back from the Easter recess, we should be looking for developments very quickly coming out of the gate for the various committees of jurisdiction. And again, we'll be focused very closely on the House Ways and Means Committee. Now, outside the United States, of course, we're all watching closely to see how will the Trump administration proceed with respect to Pillar 2 and the OECD's inclusive framework. So there was a meeting last week in Cape Town, South Africa, of the inclusive framework. Coming out of that meeting, the inclusive framework released a statement, which is not unusual. What is unusual, this statement was very, very high level. Frankly, it was phrased very cautiously, a very anodyne statement, clearly intended not to sort of get out in front of what must happen, which is a discussion between the United States and the other countries involved in the inclusive framework process. There's been a little bit of reporting this week that sort of suggested that maybe this reflected a change in the negotiating position of the United States. I really don't think that's the case. I think where we are now is, having had President Trump issue his executive order on January 20th, we're now moving into the phase where the United States Treasury is going to have discussions with other countries about working out what that all means. And I think that process is now really just beginning. So putting these two strands together, of course, one of the things that we'll be looking for in the House version of the reconciliation bill is whether or not the House takes up the potential retaliatory legislation, proposed Section 899, and Congressman Estee's sort of companion bill that will make changes to the BEAT if it is enacted. So as we look forward to when the House comes back into the session, that's one of the things we'll be looking at most closely is how will the House move forward with this potential retaliation legislation as part of the broader package of measures that the House will take up and ultimately look to move over to the Senate. So thanks for watching, and take care.